Welcome to a new episode, an extended episode of 7 Minutes of Bond Locations. I'm Martin Mulder, and today's mission is a very interesting one, and it involves a lot of different James Bond films. I'm joined later today by my friend Thomas Gleitsmann, and we're going to reveal a huge discovery, so stay tuned for that. I'm about to touch down in Nassau, where I'm going to tell you all about it.
Welcome to Nassau, Bahamas, where the local time is 11:55. Please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened.
The Commonwealth of the Bahamas consists of around 700 islands, most of them tiny, but a few are quite large. The main island isn't that big, and it's called New Providence. It holds the nation's capital, Nassau, and that's our starting point. The Bahamas feature in many Bond films, and actually way more than you would think. That's because Eon Productions returned here regularly to film underwater scenes in the clear waters around the Bahamas for various films. The clear water around the Bahamas can be seen in You Only Live Twice, The Spy Who Loved Me, and For Your Eyes Only, for instance. Of course, quite a few other Bond films simply had a story set in the Bahamas, like Thunderball, Never Say Never Again, and Casino Royale. Zooming in on a map of New Providence, you will see that the locations of all these films are somewhat scattered around the island. So let's tour it around. For Thunderball, many scenes were filmed on Paradise Island, a long stretch of then private land, basically a separate island, formerly known as Hog Island, which belonged to millionaire Huntington Hartford. Most of the 60s buildings have disappeared, or were later replaced by the huge Atlantis complex. From the Thunderball days, only the breakwaters survived. Next to Atlantis, you can find the one and only club, nowadays the Ocean Club. It was here that Daniel Craig as 007 won the DB5 from Dimitrios. Producer Kevin McClory used to have his home here as well, which was used in the final scene of the 1983 Thunderball remake, Never Say Never Again. Most scenes for Thunderball and Never Say Never Again were filmed in and around Nassau. For many years, it was said that Bond's hotel in Never Say Never Again was the British Colonial Hilton, a beautiful hotel with a very rich history. They did in fact film there, but only the water skiing scene in which 007 meets Fatima Blush for the very first time. That was shot behind the hotel at the beach bar that extended into the sea. The only time we see Bond's hotel in the film is when Fatima enters the lobby and sneaks into his room to attach a bomb under his bed. Later, when the bomb explodes and Bond turns out to be in a totally different room, we can see the exterior of the hotel. Even though the sign in the lobby says British Colonial, and do note the absence of the word Hilton, it is clearly not that hotel's lobby that Fatima enters. The British Colonial has a rather majestic marble lobby with an eye-catching grand staircase. So if you would want to show off the exotic world of Bond, why is it that we are not shown that beautiful interior and staircase? Simply because we are not at the British Colonial. These scenes were actually filmed at the Nassau Beach Hotel at Cable Beach. It was a Sheraton hotel, which explains why the lobby of our British Colonial displays quite a few Sheraton logos. The original hotel, which was demolished in 2012, is displayed here on a postcard. And you can see the exterior matches exactly with the exploding bomb scene in the film. If you're lucky, you might also get access to Rock Point, west of Nassau. The privately owned house suffered quite a bit from hurricanes over the years, but its exterior is still very recognizable from the days it was Largo's home Palmyra in Thunderball. It still has both the sweet and salt water pools. Further down the road you will pass the grottos used in Thunderball. As well as the colorful houses from Casino Royale's background. A little bit further down the road, you will pass Love Beach, where Vargas got the point. Past the international airport, you will get to Lyford Quay, a huge gated community which saw its entrance gate used in Thunderball. At Lyford Quay, Sean Connery had his home for many years, and it was here where he eventually passed away. Once you're around the corner of the island, you will get to the south side, where you will find Steward Coves. Here you can go on diving and snorkeling tours that will also bring you to the underwater sites of the Thunderball's Vulcan bomber and the Never Say Never Again Tears of Allah boat wreck. They're both still there after all these years, although the exterior cover of the Vulcan model has disappeared and all that's left is the tube structure. When I published my travel guide on the tracks of 007 back in 2008, I made the incorrect statement in it that the Coral Harbour Hotel from Thunderball had been demolished, probably. I had searched everywhere for it and I just couldn't find it at the time, so that's why I put it in it. But about a year after the book was published, Jim Seif contacted me that he had located the hotel. And it actually still exists today as the Royal Bahamas Defense Force Coral Harbour Base. It's a military site, and the hotel itself, the former hotel, now serves as a training facility. Even the pool where Bond and Domino had a drink was still there a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, the pool is now gone and has become a parking lot. Here on this base, Eon also filmed the exciting parkour scene in Casino Royale. The building site is in fact an unfinished hotel structure that's been there for decades. Along the road in Coral Harbour, you can also find the house with the empty pool that was used for the mongoose snake fight. The parkour scene ends when Bond captures Moloka at the embassy of Nambutu. This building is the former Buena Vista Hotel, which was abandoned at the time of filming. After filming, it was restored and is now part of John Watling's rum distillery. Now that we completed our tour around New Providence, or almost completed it, it's time to reveal a very exciting new location find. It's a location that we only discovered a few weeks ago, actually, and we were absolutely amazed that it still exists. So here to reveal it today with me is my good friend Thomas Gleitsmann, who had a big hand in finding it.
Thanks for having me on your show, Martin.
Thank you so much for being here. How many times have you been to the Bahamas?
I've been to the Bahamas twice. Once with Richard Skillman's great TB50 tour, and 1 year later together with my wife.
Yeah, I do remember that Richard Skillman tour. It was fantastic. I think it was the first time we met face to face, actually. What is your favorite location in the Bahamas and why?
It's actually the James Bond wrecks on the ocean floor. Probably one of the hardest to get to Bond locations, because you have to be a diver to see the Vulcan bomber and the Tears of Allah ship. And I only got my diving license for this dive. That was my first real dive, and it was amazing. And unfortunately, my second dive to the wrecks in 2016 showed that Hurricane Matthew destroyed a lot. The Vulcan bomber has sunk deep into the sand, and you can no longer recognize the concrete wheels. And also the remains of the shark door on the Never Say Never, a ship where the shark is swimming through the door, are gone. It's very sad, yeah.
Now we're both very excited about this great new discovery. I know it's been extremely hard not to talk about it to anyone. We found the location a few weeks ago, and we agreed to keep it a secret, not to tell anyone, and to keep it especially for this episode. So, which location are we talking about? Drum roll.
The intro scene from Never Say Never Again, the huge building in the jungle, the MI6 training area.
Unbelievable that we found that.
For many years we've been looking for it, together, individually, and I know others have looked for it as well. What exactly did you do to reach this breakthrough?
I watched Never Say Never Again after a long time and was still very unhappy that we haven't found the location so far. So I started a new online search and found some very nice people who knew the location, who visited the building about 40 years ago and played there as children.
And what's funny is that all the time we actually only searched for the location, the hill where we thought the building used to be. But we were suddenly confronted with the unbelievable fact that the building still exists. And even we received a recent photograph. So where exactly can we find it?
The building is in the middle of New Providence, southwest of Nassau. It looks like it's no longer the most beautiful place on the island. The ruin is near the garbage dump and a waste management company. So it's still surrounded by jungle and completely overgrown. So it must be a great adventure to visit this location.
The 88-acre estate originally belonged to Hadley Edwards, who also founded the Ardustra Gardens and Zoo downtown. Edwards died in 1979, and we think the house was abandoned around that time. After being used in the Bond film, it was bought by Norman Solomon, a very colorful member of parliament. Why the carcass of the house is still there, and more or less still looks just like in the film, we do not know. If it hadn't been for all these travel restrictions, we probably would have already been in the plane to see it with our own eyes, but unfortunately that's not the case. So I suppose the game is on, you know, a new challenge for the new year. Who will be the first one to show us photos of the interior of that house? Good luck, everyone. Thomas, thank you so much for being here with me today, and we'll speak soon.
Thanks a lot, Martin. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Check out onthetrucksofF007.com and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.